Good morning. It is 7:37 a.m. on Sunday, March 18th, 2017 or 2018. Wow. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. And because today is Sunday, I am continuing my rewatch of Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex with episode 18, Assassination Duet. Um, Oddly, this is an episode that doesn't have that weird dual title thing. But in an event, this is a standalone episode, and it is the last standalone. No, I'm sorry, second to last standalone episode. There's one more next week, but then it's only complex episodes from here on.
Third of the grass.
From there on out, I guess. But in any event, this is another episode where I don't know that I have a whole lot to say about it. The basic plot is that there's an assassination threat made against a visiting foreign dignitary. There is some controversy about allowing this dignitary to visit a war memorial that contains bodies from both sides of a war. So that's where the controversy comes in. But so the death threat made, Section 9's brought in as a parallel track. We have Aramaki visiting the grave of a war buddy. Maybe I shouldn't use that term because it's relevant later. Only when the major basically is asking him about it. Like, wasn't he just a war buddy? And Aramaki seems to suggest that it was maybe deeper than that through his body language when he says that, yes, I suppose you're right, sort of thing. In an event, while visiting the grave, he meets the daughter of his friend, this colonel, who tells him that her brother has been acting weird. And I think because we've been watching this show for this whole season, all of the things that she describes tell us immediately, oh, well, her dad has, overwritten her brother's brain somehow with his own, or there's a combination or something like that. And the episode kind of handles that in a slightly weird way where they don't actually confirm that that's what happened until about 2/3 through the episode, but it's not really treated as a surprise once they confirm that that's what's happening. It's more like they don't talk about it until they're saying, well, yeah, obviously. So it's a little bit strange. But in any event, Aramaki says at first that he can't help her because essentially, it's kind of like when, his friend in the last episode asked him for help. Is like, well, look, I mean, I would love to help you, but I'm an actual government official. I can't just use government top secret resources to just help friends. But as it turns out, once the group, once Section 9 is trying to find out who might be trying to kill this foreign dignitary, turns out this kid, her brother, the son of his friend, is actually the suspect, and is like, oh well, shit. So they're determined to bring him in. They try, but he's actually, planned it pretty well. He's one step ahead of them. And then we get to the part where it's a little bit unclear what really happened, because what we see is him fooling everybody because he wasn't going to actually snipe the dignitary from a distance like his plan had suggested to everyone. But it was all like a decoy, because what he was really doing was hiding in the crowd and rushing in with a knife. And everyone is fooled except the major, who just says at the last second that, she had found a note that said that the only way to be sure is to get up close with your target and not worry about trying to escape afterwards. And so she was hiding with her optical camouflage and managed to deactivate his cyber brain with a little plug-in at the last second as he's rushing this dignitary. But what we see is that, oh no, he actually had a bomb too, kaboom, and it seems like that would be really bad for everybody. But then what we see is that this guy is in a bed connected to a machine, and the major tells his sister that they had to give him the memory of a successful kill in order to deactivate this programming that he had. So it's not clear how much of that whole scene, the memorial scene, was real. It seems plausible that what we saw was everything was real up to the point where the major attached the thing to him, and so only the bit about the bomb was not real. That seems like plausible, but the episode doesn't really confirm it. In any event, during this process, Aramaki did receive a call from, this kid / his friend, who had kind of combined their brains, and according to, this combined person that Aramaki talks to on the phone, the desire to assassinate this dignitary was an unfortunate side effect of this process of copying his memories over. Is that, the father didn't intend to turn his son into an assassin. He just wanted some of the secrets he knew about the war to not be lost. He wanted someone to know what really happened. And we aren't really ever given any of those details, except that it apparently involves the colonel's wife and the kid's mom's death somehow. But it turns out that by overwriting that information, those memories, into his son's brain, the son responds essentially by wanting revenge, and therefore we have an accidentally created hybrid assassin. So that's the idea here, and the idea of someone's ghost merging with their father is complicated. You know what I mean? Like, it's certainly in keeping with things we could expect to have happen on a show like this. It's not hard to follow, and in fact, I think we jumped to that conclusion long before the episode actually tells us that's what happened. But like there's not a lot else to this episode. They discover, like, well, they basically suggest combining your ghost with someone is it's bad news. It leads to craziness, and that once this kid wakes up with this programming sort of complete, he might just essentially be a new person, different personality. And so it's Aramaki basically is left feeling a little bit sad, just because it's kind of like he has had to say goodbye to his old friend a second time, is what he says. Oddly enough, he doesn't appear to be especially sad about the son having had this happen to him. But so that's this episode, and I don't have a lot else to say about it. But next week, episode 19 is called... excuse me, when I said there was no dual title, there is actually. Assassination, Duet, Lost Heritage. So next week, though, episode 19 is the last standalone episode of this season. Embraced by a disguised net. Captivated. And so we'll talk about that next week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes.